Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, we are going to learn how I created this realistic environment using Blender. Step 1. Press Shift+A and choose the plane option. Scale it according to your preference. Next, we need to subdivide it using the Subdivision surface modifier to create a dynamic environment. After that, apply the Displace modifier and select the clouds texture to create a bumpy structure. Finally, click Shade Smooth to smooth the surface.
Step 2. To create the road, click Shift+A to choose path and scale it using S button. Click Tab to go to Edit mode, select the end vertex point, press E to extrude in X. Axis in path geometry. There is an extrude option, click A to select all the vertex point and set 0.25 to extrude value on top. There is a mean tilt value set to 90 to rotate the road according to the plane.
Step 3. Select the plane, switch to Sculpt mode, and sculpt the plane so it doesn't merge with the road. Adjust the surface around the road to ensure the road looks more grounded and realistic. There is an add-on called BlenderKit, which is provided by Blender and offers many free assets. I selected the Material option, searched for a road material, then dragged and assigned it to the road. Set the render engine to cycles and the device to GPU compute. Lower the sample count in the viewport to prevent crashing. Check if the material is correctly assigned to the road. Sometimes a pi error can occur, so make sure it's properly assigned.
Step 4. Select the plane and switch to weight paint mode. In the shape properties, there is an option called Vertex Group. Add a new vertex group and name it Grass. Set the brush weight value to 1, then paint around the road on the plane where vegetation will be placed. Step 5. Choose the Botaniq library, which is a paid version. If you want a free version, you can use the plant library. I will provide the link in the description. The Botaniq Add-on is very helpful for creating vegetation, as it covers half of the work and is easy to use. I selected the grass type and modified the seed, number, and scale. Set the density and length of the grass to match the area we created in Step 3, making the vegetation surround the road. You can choose any vegetation you want to use. Step 6. An important feature for the environment is creating a sky texture using HDRi. BlenderKit has some available, but I used HDRi from Polyhaven, and I'll provide the link in the description. Switch to the shader editor and change to the world settings. Press Ctrl+Shift+T to create an environment texture. Then open the file location where you downloaded the HDRi. To enhance realism, we're going to use a math node. Connect the HDRi to the math node and set the node to power to control the strength of the HDRi. Adjust the intensity value and location of the HDRi as you desire for a realistic sky texture. Step 7. Add more vegetation around the road. I included grass, flowers, and rocks to enhance realism and make the environment feel more natural. Additionally, I added different types of grasses for variety. Step 8. Press Shift+A and select Cube. Scale it to cover the entire environment. In the Object Properties, set the Display mode to Bounds or Wire. Go to the Shader Editor, select the cube, and click New to assign a material. Delete the principled BSDF node, then press Shift+A to add a principled volume node. Connect it to the Material Outputs volume socket to create a fog effect that enhances the realism of the environment. Adjust the density and anisotropic settings according to the scene. This fog gives a natural look to the environment. Step 9. Spawn trees from the Botaniq library onto the plane and scale them to match a real-world environment. In Blender, there is a free add-on called Object Scatter. To enable the add-on, go to Preferences, click on Add-ons, and search for Object Scatter. After enabling it, select the trees while holding the Shift key to select the plane. Click on Object, scroll down to the Object Scatter option, and start painting on the plane. This will automatically add trees to the plane. You have the option to modify the seed and size of the trees in the Properties panel. Surround the trees around the road for a more natural look. Step 10. To add a camera, press Shift+A and choose Camera. As you can see, the camera is facing the wrong direction because of its origin point. In the camera properties, set the Passepartout to 1 to darken the surrounding area. making it easier to visualize the camera view. Set the camera resolution to 1980 by 817 for a cinematic aspect ratio. You can use walk navigation to navigate around the objects in the camera view. The next step is to review the last 10 steps to ensure we followed them correctly. I modified the road material and the HDRi location, so make sure everything is set up correctly according to the environment. The next step is to convert the road into a mesh. Press Shift+A, choose the Convert option, and set it to Mesh. Select the road and apply the Subdivision Surface Modifier, setting the levels to 6 for subdivisions. Choose Cloud to create a bump effect, and modify the values of the road to introduce slight bumps. In the real world, roads have bumps and deformations, so we will follow the same principle. Next, we need to choose a car from BlenderKit. Search for cars in BlenderKit to find many free options. I chose the classic Benz 300 SL because I personally liked it, so spawn it into Blender. If you click on the wheels, you may notice that all the wheels are joined together. To solve this issue, go to the Modifier properties where you'll see the mirror modifier. Press Alt+A to apply the modifier. Now we need to separate the individual wheels. Select the wheels, enter Edit mode, and select each individual wheel. Press Ctrl+L to select just one wheel, then press P and choose Selection to separate that wheel from the others. Repeat this process for the remaining 3 wheels. After separating all 4 wheels, name them in the correct order, such as Benz body and Benz HDRi. Next, select the body as the main element and set it as the parent for the other objects. So all objects except the wheels will follow the body. Then click on each individual wheel, press Shift+A, and select Set Origin to Geometry. Next, press Shift+S to move the cursor to the selected wheel, and again set the origin to the cursor. This will help rotate the wheels in a circular direction by placing the origin point in the middle. Repeat this step for both the body and the wheels. After that, there is an add-on called Rigacar. I will provide the link in the description. Make sure all objects in the car are named properly. We need to modify the car texture. Press Shift+A to add an ambient occlusion node and connect it to a color ramp. Then press Shift+A again to add a mix shader, which will allow us to combine multiple principled BSDF shaders. Plug the color ramp's output into the mix shader's FERC input. Set the black marker value to around 0.3 and the white marker value to 0.75 to achieve a realistic look. To add some dirt or scratches to the car, add another principled BSDF shader. While holding down the Ctrl key, press T to add an image texture and select the dirt or scratches image. Plug the output of the second principled BSDF into the mix shader to combine both textures naturally. Make sure to check that the textures are adjusted to fit the environment. Select all the car objects, press Shift+A, select Deformation, and then choose Car Deformation. Ensure that all the bones are assigned to the car properly. If not, follow the instructions carefully. Finally, click Generate Car Rig, which will help control the car's movement realistically, just like real-world vehicles. Next, move the car onto the road and scale it to fit the environment. Make sure it matches the surroundings properly and ensure that the contact between the wheels and the road is perfect. Adjust the camera to frame the car appropriately, as the camera angle is an important feature for the car animation video. Ensure that the angle is just right. The next step is to add focus to the car. In the camera properties, turn on the depth of field. Create an empty object by pressing Shift+A and name it Focus. Assign this focus object to the camera's depth of field. Adjust the f-stop and blade settings to ensure the main subject, the car, is sharp, while the background environment is slightly blurred according to the scene. Next, press Shift+A to create a plane. Move to the top view of the mountain and rotate the plane 90 degrees on the y-axis, then scale it in the x and y-axis to form a rectangle. Go to the shader editor and click New to add a principled BSDF shader. Press Shift+A to add a noise texture and a color ramp, and connect the color ramp to the alpha input of the principled BSDF. This will create a cloud structure on the plane, enhancing realism and making it look more like a natural environment. Adjust the noise texture and color ramp settings as desired to match your environment, further enhancing the overall realism. The next important step is to animate the car. Select the camera and the empty object while holding Shift, Then select the car body as the main object by pressing Ctrl. Press Ctrl plus P to parent the car to the camera and focus, so they follow the direction of the car. Ensure that the car wheels make perfect contact with the road. Next, press Shift plus A and click Path to create a direction for the car to drive. Scale and extrude the path as we did in Step 2. Select the car and switch to Pose mode. Under the car, there should be a ground sensor. Click on that and go to Bone Constraints, then add a Follow Path constraint, which will help the car follow the path you created on the X-axis. Ensure that the car is perfectly following the path. While in Pose mode with the Rigacar Add-on, locate the Bake option. This will automatically bake the steering and wheels by generating keyframes, allowing the car to follow the path naturally. Use Pose mode to control other parts like wheel shaking, body shaking, and suspension to enhance the realism of the car. Additionally, use the Camera Shake add-on to give a natural shake to both the camera and the car, enhancing the overall animation. The final step is to adjust the render settings. Set the render engine to cycles and the device to GPU compute. As I use optics for faster rendering, I set my sample count to 1024, as I want every individual frame to be in PNG format. Don't forget to turn on motion blur and ambient occlusion for the car animation. Motion blur is particularly important for achieving a more realistic effect. After I rendered in Blender, I export to DaVinci Resolve for color grading. Color grading is the process of altering and enhancing the color of a motion picture or still image. It involves adjusting the colors, brightness, and contrast to create a specific aesthetic or mood. The goal of color grading is to give the footage a professional, polished look that supports the storytelling aspect of the project.